And good morning, and welcome to another edition of About Your House. It's time to jump on that to-do list, but that home improvement project doesn't have to be a chore. Before you jump in, tune in here to About Your House to listen and learn from the most experienced and reputable contractors and service providers in the industry. On today's show, we have Devin Arnett of CDA Environmental in the house. About Your House is brought to you in part by Put Tools in Schools, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. About Your House is also brought to you in part by Queen City Home Store. Queen City Home Store is a family-owned store serving the Carolinas for over 70 years. They're the largest independent appliance retailer in the Carolinas, constantly growing and taking pride in the experience that they offer customers with a knowledgeable sales staff, product selection, and lowest price guarantee. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us as we spread a little love. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
We good to go? Yes, sir. What was that air there, big guy?
That was the
Good
clapping.
morning. What's
Clapping. It was the clapping.
That was the clapping.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
See, you like that?
See, that's I couldn't make it out over my earbuds.
Oh, you're good.
But we good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode, edition, whatever you want to call this here show. We're at the podcast studio in the toolbox, coming to you live this morning, Tuesday morning. I believe it's March 17th, isn't it?
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah. Same to you. Wow, you wearing your green and everything? Got Devin Arnett in the house this morning. Devin Arnett's the main CEO. Well, I'll call him the CEO, president. You call him what you want, but he is the chief head cook and bottle washer for CDA Environmental. And CDA Environmental is a hygienist. Is that correct?
I would say environmental consulting. Hygienists, they're sort of in the category of you need to know how much cocoa dust you can be exposed to for 8 hours. They're
Really?
your guys. That's the people you go to for that.
Is that what a hygienist does?
Yep.
Well, I was educated that they were the ones that did all the testing, you know.
They do for government compliance, like
Gotcha.
for state and federal compliance with, worker exposure to whatever
Sure.
is part of their manufacturing process. Or
I hear you. Well, tell our listeners, Devin's been on the show many times, and he's very educated, very knowledgeable in his field, and passionate. And that's what we go after here on About Your House, are passionate people who love what they do and do it very well. And Devin's no exception to that. Tell folks really what you do.
So we do a mixture of, we got about 11 different things that we do. The main thing that would, for residential is indoor air quality for mold, asbestos surveys for like renovations and demos, lead-based paint inspections and risk assessments for child-occupied facilities and target housing, anything pre-1978. We also do like modified versions of that. So like, let's say you were building a deck and you were going to impact some material on the house. We'd come in there and do target testing for just that material versus the whole structure. We do some wetland delineation and management. We do some what they call environmental site assessments for property transactions, like when you go to purchase a piece of property, like make sure there's no subsurface contamination issues or anything like that.
Who calls you normally? Do you do work for construction companies, or, I mean, who all do you work for?
A little bit of everybody. I mean, I've had this company now 23 years, and I think the reason, other than doing good work and being honest, I think the reason we've survived is because we have so many different clients. So like, for instance, asbestos. If the economy is doing great, people are demoing buildings and building new houses or developing strip malls or whatever, right? So you got demo permits that require the asbestos testing. When the economy is not so good, right, people are staying at home, but they're renovating. So we're still working, right? So same with lead,
Well, cooties don't have a season.
No.
And I call them cooties, but you call them contaminants, environmental contaminants, what have you. There is no time unless there's water. Water is the big culprit.
Yeah. When it
Overall, what do you deal with more than anything else with your company? Now, and I know that might be a loaded question because you deal in a lot of things, but and the reason I ask that because mold seems to be a fearful area with, well, in the past, I don't know, 10 to 20 years, people have become very frightful of mold. When they see mold, say, oh no, and it's black. For example, I just took you in the room back there, and there's mold on the bottom when water came in and kind of semi-flooded us. I wouldn't call it a flood, but we got some water intrusion. And now I've got mold on the paneling.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not worried about that mold at all because there's no water present to feed it. Is that a general, and I ask you that question as an ignorant person who doesn't know what you do, but if I've got a black mold and it's there, it's black, does that mean water,
I don't put much thought into what species it is or the color of it.
I understand.
What I care about, me knowing what species it is, just tells me how much water was involved. So like Stachybotrys, quote unquote, the black mold everybody likes to talk about.
Well, that's the whole thing. People hear black mold and they think, oh, no. It's probably Stachybotrys when that's typically not the situation because I've been taught and shown by some entomologists, people who do go out and see mold under houses that you never see, like Kilo, one of our sponsors, Kilo Exterminating, Pest Control. Dr. Kilo brought me out and showed me firsthand. He says, this is black, but it's not Stachybotrys. So it just means that, Stachybotrys, Fusarium, Chitomium, those are what they call hydrophytic species. How many can you name, big guy? You got a lot of...
Basidiospores, Cladiospore, Apophytes, Mycetes.
All these names you spit out, you just let them rip, man. It's kind of funny.
But all that means is that there was a lot of water involved. They're hydrophytic, meaning they are not going to survive off of humidity. Where there are like Aspergillus penicilliums, those are species that can survive off of just high humidity.
Like in a crawl space.
Yes.
So that would be the mold of...
That would be the biggest
popular.
culprit. But what happens is that Stachybotrys is very aggressive. So let's say you have high humidity and then it floods and you had Aspergillus penicillium there and along comes a Stachy. If it plants itself in there, it will grow and eat over all the rest.
So it's like a cannibal. It just goes after everything.
Well, the only thing that really eats mold is mold. Right? So like in the Hurricane Helena incident, right? Where you have super saturated buildings for a long period of time. Usually Stachy's about the only thing you're going to see in there because it's already ate over all the stuff that grew first.
And it's just saturated with water.
Yeah.
Constantly fed.
Yeah.
And that was my understanding of what Stachybotrys, like plumbing, shower leaks.
Yeah.
Shower leaks are a prime example over a period of time, like in the crawl. You can't see it, but it's constantly fed water, and more than likely, those are areas of where Stachybotrys is going to be.
And the one thing to keep in mind, and I got a good analogy for it, is if you take away the moisture source, right, it's not going to go anywhere. It ain't like a squirrel that dies in your yard and a month later it's gone, right? It's literally going to stay there
dormant?
Forever. Yeah, inactive if you want.
You will call it dormant or inactive.
Either way. Either it's just waiting for moisture to start growing again, So picture a dandelion, right?
Yeah.
Right? When you blow all those little seeds off, before it can release those seeds again, it's got to grow more seeds.
Right.
Right. So if you don't pick it, you just get down on it and blow those seeds off. Mold's the same way. So all the mycotoxins, the spores, and the little what they call mycelia fragments that just flake off, they're not going to be, they're not going to be there until you get your moisture source again. Once it's exhausted and they're all gone. Right. So it's got to be actively growing for it to be releasing those toxins and stuff.
Gotcha. I hear you. Well, the one thing I have Devin on the show for is because environmental toxins have become more prevalent in the past, 15 years?
Yep.
Because of our construction methodologies and the way we're building tight houses. right?
Yeah, and it's been a combination of lack of exposure to different environments that most people just don't. If you, like you yourself, you go into construction sites which have all kinds of stuff going on them.
Oh, sure.
But if you're somebody who works from home, you're there 20 hours a day, the rest of the time you're either driving around or something like that. You don't have any exposure to, these different indoor contaminants, whatever it is. There's some stuff you'll never get used to, right? Certain VOCs, volatile organic compounds. But it's the combination of that lack of exposure along with buildings being too tight now, below that American Society for Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Engineers standard.
Right.
And the lack of, I don't know if you remember what's that flooring company that had the formaldehyde? What was that company called?
I can't recall, honestly.
But that was another example of what we get from overseas. We don't know what's in it.
Right.
We don't have a clue. So if you build something or manufacture something here in the United States, and I'm not going to try to get too technical with you, but the ASTM standards, the American Society for Testing and Materials, says you have to test this material for this, and you got to put it on an MSDS sheet. Any problems, the material safety data sheets.
Sure.
And so that everybody, if you're having anything done on your home or your commercial building or whatever it is you're doing, the first thing that I would ask anybody that's coming in there is, give me the MSDS sheets for any material you're using, especially if I have a sensitivity.
Right.
Right? If I have multiple chemical sensitivity or I have immune suppressant issue, I immediately want to be able to go, well, doc, this is what I was exposed to without having to do any testing.
Right.
I just know it's there. Now how abundant it is, then you're going to have to do testing. Right. But so many people are so sensitive now to just about.
That being another reason I call on you, is because I had a group of kids in the toolbox Saturday. We had our work day. Okay. And I want to ask you your thoughts on this, honestly. There's dust, because we're sweeping, and cleaning up as we go. And then one of the child says, I've got asthma. And then one of the grown leaders, mentors of the group, men, went and got masks for everybody. And that mask, how good is it with,
for that material,
yeah.
Sawdust, great. Yeah, because it's so heavy.
Right.
It's the small stuff that you really have to worry about. Now, if you were sanding, right, let's say you're sanding drywall joint compound, that gets really, really small.
Right.
And that, and some of that's got, of course, silica in it. And other, who knows, just depends.
Right.
The drywall itself, could contain asbestos if you, some years
depending
back.
on where it was made, that Chinese.
Well, that was sulfur.
That Chinese group, several mini containers of drywall into this country.
Yeah, that was sulfur. Earlier in the 2000s, we had a back order on drywall, gypsum, right? Yeah. And so they brought in a bunch from Mexico. Well, gypsum is mined just like asbestos.
So it wasn't Chinese, it was Mexico.
Yeah, the Chinese was a sulfur issue that was oxidizing. Oxidizing the water lines. That was the problem, making them pit and leak. Right. Whereas in this, since they weren't testing, it was a contaminant versus an additive, how we used it back when it was legal. Right. So, we just don't know what we're getting. That's why if you were to demo this building, right, if you needed to demo it and it was built last week, EPA doesn't care. NESHAP, who you filled a permit out to, doesn't care when it was built. They're like, test it. Let's know if there's asbestos there or not. Right. And then, because we don't know, again, what we're getting from
mesothelioma.
Yeah.
I said a good word there. Mesothelioma is the disease caused by asbestos. Right?
Yes, sir.
Ah, the boy's getting good. Okay. Cool. Little clapping audience there. Play the da wah wah. We're just having fun, folks. Technology's fun when it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Little sidebar there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, but like I said, like they just, that's why when people call me, especially if it's individuals, right, like residential projects, and they're like, well, I'm buying a house. It was built in, 53. I want an asbestos survey and a lead-based paint inspection. And I give them a price, and they're like, yeah, but I don't need you to do the whole thing. Like, why? And they're like, well, we have an addition that was put on 4 years ago.
All right, let me back. I'm sorry, you said the whole thing. What do you mean when you say the whole thing?
They don't want to, they think because the addition was built after 1980 that they don't need to include that in the asbestos
Oh, I got
survey.
you. Okay, they're trying to evade some cost, possibly, or whatever.
And they just don't think it needs to be tested.
They don't think it.
And asbestos testing is different than most testing we do that is destructive. So I got to put holes.
Right.
Right, I got to send that material to the lab. Whereas in lead, I'm using an XRF. It's non-destructive. It's real time. If you're doing mold, you're just doing air samples or surface samples. Asbestos is you're making damage. So if I got to test drywall, there's going to be a hole in somebody's closet.
Gotcha.
I go turn around and do the corners there. That way, I can for sure get both layers, the joint compound and the.
Oh, so you want joint compound too?
Yeah, because
you want the total composite, of what that product is.
So when they analyze them, that's what they do. They analyze in layers.
Oh, okay.
And like it's funny because when you're trying to explain cost to people, I am not a fan of paying for stuff I don't need. So I don't do that to my clients.
And that's another factor of Devin. If you don't need it, he isn't going to sell it to you.
No, so if I do an asbestos survey for you, I'll give you a cost and then a per sample cost, and you just pay for what you want. And I can do what's called a positive stop, meaning if, like, let's say your textured material here, right? If you have over 5,000 square feet, I have to take 7 samples of that, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I got to do them randomly, right? And so if the first one comes back positive, I don't have to run the rest.
Okay.
There's no reason to.
Right.
I already know
You already know it's there.
And so the people are like, I can save you money there, but you hope that it really doesn't happen, because if it happens, that means you have asbestos.
Okay, let's talk about textured ceilings. I don't really want to, but we need to, because textured ceiling, popcorn, as we call it in the residential industry, spray, hopper gun. I have one out there in the toolbox. I've sprayed many a ceiling in my life. I've textured many a ceiling, and I've also removed a lot of it. Now, that's where the question comes in. If I'm going to remove, if you have a house and you're just dying to get rid of your popcorn textured ceilings, which is one of the messiest, it's one of the messiest jobs I can think of in remodeling. There's not many jobs messier than taking textured ceilings off a ceiling.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Now, would you recommend, regardless of age,
yeah, I mean,
testing that asbestos before you remove it?
Yeah, just because you just don't know.
Just use precautionary measures and get the right respirators and all. I mean, what would your recommendation be?
Well, in order to, like, if you're an abatement company, right? People think, well, I got to, there's a potential that there's asbestos here. I'm going to go get me a little mask with P100s on it or whatever, filters.
Sure.
And I'm going to go out and I'm going to test, I'm going to just do whatever I want, right? In order for you or me to use proper protective PPE, you got to be part
personal
of
protective equipment.
You got to be part of a respiratory protection program, right? You got to go once a year, get your physical, do the pulmonary function test, fill out a medical, survey. There's certain things you have to do. In the fit test, when they do it, you wear your mask, right?
Right. And
they make you put this hood on, and they spray it with a chemical, it's almost like a citrus thing or whatever,
right?
To see if you can, if your seal's holding, right? And then they make you do work. They make you move around,
sure,
so that they know whether the seal holds up. I have to use once a year. I have to use a simple half-face respirator to pass that, but I don't use that kind of a mask. But they won't let me use my mask
in the test
because mine's full face, and it's under positive pressure from a filter and a pump, right? So that way, even if my mask, if I break containment, It's like scuba diving. It's just going to, it's just going to push out.
Right.
So, when people say, "Oh, I use proper precaution," I'm like, you used the best that you know, right? And that's probably good enough, maybe. I don't know. But once you've contaminated those prices, the costs, our jobs are always the small ticket item, no matter what we're doing. Right? The fixes are the big cost, right? So if somebody comes in and says, I'll come and make slick ceilings for you here. I'll take all that off for you. And the homeowner doesn't know what the homeowner doesn't know. The construction guy, he just started 2 years ago. He don't know what he don't know, right? And then all of a sudden somebody comes in and goes, "Wait, did you have this tested?" Now to do it retroactively, it's a pain. It makes the job just twice as hard and puts people out for liability and causes lawsuits. So I always tell people, just test. You don't even got to use us. Just use somebody who's certified. Use a third-party lab that's certified to do asbestos testing or analyze asbestos and be done with it.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and I never bring it up in conversation because it's fear. I don't like fear. However, I'm talking to a professional here in the hygienist industry or the contamination or what do you call yourself?
Environmental consulting.
The environmental consultant. And he says, you ought to test it, and most homeowners have no clue.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, if you, Ray Terry, call me up and say, "Hey, Devin, I'm buying a house over off of in Noda.
Right.
I think I need a lead-based paint inspection." I would go, "Ray, why? You have kids 6 and under? Are you prenatal? Why? Let the next people pay for it. It ain't going to hurt you." Right?
Well, there's a fact right there that people can learn from.
Yeah.
So lead, all these things we've been told are environmental toxins. Lead, asbestos, what else?
Mold, lead, asbestos, radon.
Radon, there's another. We're going to cover this stuff, but I've got to take a little break here and talk about my sponsors. First up is ABS Insulating. We got that, Mr. Richton. ABS Insulating. ABS Insulating was controlled by a family for many, many years. Set up their standards, great company, and just like Devin CDA Environmental here, they're not out to sell you and take you all your money. They're out to help you create a more comfortable living environment at an affordable cost. And that's the basic nature of their business. Now, how they do that, they're a specialized company in insulation, be it closed cell, open cell insulation, foam. I forgot the most important word, foam. Open cell and closed cell foam. And speaking of contaminants, we'll talk about that a little bit too, because initially in the foam market, we had some environmental toxins involved. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. But CDA Environmental is a company you can call for that too. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about insulation. And ABS Insulating Company here in the Charlotte metro area, they do work all over the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. From the beach to the hills, they'll take care of you regardless. And not only that, as far as insulation goes, they've got the knowledge and experience to give you the best options on how to increase your comfort and lower your energy cost. Great company. Been in the Charlotte area for many years. Go online, absinsulating.com. Also, can't forget about their gutter division. I know the name is ABS Insulating, but they've got a gutter division where they'll come out to your house, fix, maintain, repair gutter protection systems. If it's got something to do with your gutters or you want new product, they've got you covered. That's ABS Insulating in the Charlotte area here. Just go online, absinsulating.com. And let's don't forget about Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte. Every house has flooring in it. And we're going to talk about flooring when we talk about environmental toxins too. But you're safe with Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte. And I know the company says, Southeast Charlotte, most people say, well, they won't come to see me. Wrong. They bring the showroom to you, regardless of where you may live in the Charlotte metro area, be it Belmont, be it Stallings, be it Indian Trail, be it Morrisville. Does not matter. Lake Norman, they're on it. They'll bring the showroom to you. Got mobile showrooms servicing the Charlotte metro area, regardless of where you live. That's Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte. Just look them up online, yourflooringteam.com. And let's don't forget the big cheese here, Queen City Home Store. Been in the Charlotte area, Charlotte metro area since 1952, serving Charlotte metro and beyond now since they've converted to the Queen City Home Store. Used to be Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliance. Now Queen City Home Store, furnishing your house from top to bottom. If you've got a house, they've got the furnishings you need. Kitchen appliances, living room, bedroom, bedding, you name it. Family owned and operated. Great prices, great service guaranteed. That's Queen City Home Store. Look them up. You can shop online, queencityonline.com. You want to call the corporate and ask a question or two, they're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. 704-391-6000. queencityonline.com. Give them a call. Look them up online. Do your shopping online. Don't even leave your house. They got a great delivery service, great installation service, great store. That's Queen City Home Store. Today's show, Queen City Home Store, is the premier sponsor of the show today. And we have CDA Environmental in the house, Mr. Devin Arnett himself, the CEO and the big cheese with CDA Environmental. Been in the industry how long?
25 years.
25 years, and we were talking about contaminants. And the past 10 years, would you say your business has increased significantly?
Yes, definitely. I mean, COVID really put a scare into people, and it seems to have made everything, like, just people be more aware of all the different types of environmental issues concerning, well, with indoor air quality anyway.
Well, it's just like the textured ceilings, the popcorn ceilings. Most people don't give it a second thought. You know, they just get that stuff and start scraping it off. What a messy job. But but you should test it before you do it to know what you're dealing with.
Yep. And I mean, that goes with anything. And some of it's like almost foolish because, like, for instance, if your building was built after 1980 and it's got an A-frame asphalt shingled roof, I'm testing the asphalt shingles and I am testing the felt, right? And
really?
I've never had it come back positive on anything post 1980. But where I have had it come back quite frequently is on the mastic around the chimney flashing, because I can go to Home Depot and Lowe's right now and buy stuff with asbestos in it, tar materials, caulkings, fire stop. You know, there's different things out there, and that's what we know, because when they outlawed it, they just outlawed putting it in anything friable. Anything you can crush or pulverize.
Let's tell people what friable is.
Anything you can crush or pulverize with the strength of your hand.
Make dust.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, if you're got 1x1 tile, in order to get those fibers, and it's usually low amounts, like 2 to 5%, right? To get those fibers out of there, you're going to have to either run over it with a track hoe or burn it or grind it or sandblast it.
To make it friable.
To get those, to get that.
So it's relatively a safe material.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
well, that's what I've told people about flooring.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, older homes with the 9x9 and some of those that have really high amounts, and they've been there for a long time. And
vinyl asbestos tile.
And they get, if they get dilapidated, or if they get worn or whatever, then you can release those fibers into the air that way as well.
Well, you had mentioned you can go buy material with asbestos in it, but that's safe material because it's not friable. It's in or is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, as long as it's in that matrix and you're not breathing it in. But here comes the problem: you buy a house or you buy a piece of property over in Kannapolis, and it has a
Kannapolis.
It has a little 800 square foot dilapidated structure on it.
Right.
And you're going to have to test that just to know what's there, no matter what. If you're going to do something with it, and if it's dilapidated, who knows how much of those things have come out of there.
Do building standards inspection department require certain verifications at times?
NESHAP, which is EPA.
Right.
That's who you get the building demo/renovation permit for. That's supposed to be the fail-safe. But a lot of times people don't pull permits, and if you don't pull the permit and you don't see the permit that says, did you test it for asbestos? If you did, who tested it? What'd you test? Who did the analysis? Was it removed? If it was, where did it go?
Now, if you go in and you find asbestos, what happens?
Nothing. I mean, if unless they're planning on something.
Well, if they do something, if they're out there and there's asbestos found, is there a protocol to what has to be done? Do you write a protocol for removal?
No. So the remediation company, the abatement companies out there, there's a threshold, and you usually don't go over that threshold where you got to get what they call a planner,
right?
To come in and do a design.
Well,
if you were a school,
how extensive it would be.
If a school, but like I was trying to say earlier, that little house out there, let's say you wanted to burn it, you could get the Kannapolis Fire Department to come out there and do a controlled burn, and they get, they're going to tell you, find out if it has asbestos, remove it, and then we'll burn it for you, So, that's why it's always good to know, no matter what. I always tell people, knowledge is power, right? So
it is.
There's no reason to be scared of asbestos in your house as long as it's in good condition, right? There's, but a lot of people just, because they see TV.
Well, it's just like mold, going back to that fear factor. People get fearful and they just worry to death about.
And if you think you're sick, you're sick.
Exactly. Your mind can control a lot of it.
Yep.
How well I know that.
Yeah, if you've seen somebody break out in hives because they're nervous, that's a physiological response to no outside anything.
I got you. Well, a lot of people call me, and we talk about this every time you're on, because one of the reasons I want you on the show is to prevent fear factor. Like a lot of people say, well, I'm scared to death of mold. Well, if you're frightened of mold, a lot of people call me and say, what do I need to do? I says, well, instead of having people out there and start abatement, you need to find out if it's a lethal or bad or contamination that you need to be afraid of, and that's where you come in. Yeah,
the one thing that I make sure my clients know is that we're not doctors. I'm a biologist, right? I don't play doctor, right? So for us, I give the same analogy. Think of mold 3 different ways. One, mold that's growing on stuff. Nobody really gets sick from that.
Well, there's mold spores between you and me right now.
But what's emanating from there that you're breathing in are the spores and what they call mycotoxins, right? MVOCs. And then the little pieces of them that flake off. And then what was in the air that has now landed on things, right? So when you're assessing a mold issue, of course you got to find the source. Of course you got to find the moisture issue, right? All that's got to be addressed in conjunction with remediating it. But I'm more concerned about what you're actually breathing, right? Because because some people will just hire a remediation company to come out there and just start working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I've done plenty of houses and commercial buildings where I've went in and tested and had high levels, because there are no permissible levels. You just want to make sure none of the species inside are significantly elevated relative to that same species outside. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's what would signify a problem. But because of the way disclosure works on when you go to sell a house, for instance, right, is if you had a mold problem, you'd have to disclose that. Well, let's say when you were fixing the house up for the sale, you saw that you had 4 square feet of mold growth behind a washing machine.
Right.
Right?
Great example.
And you, not that you would do this, but you cut it out, you make sure the moisture source is gone, and you drywall it over, and you can't tell the difference, right? I'm still going to pick it up on the sampling, right? I'm still going to pick up on what you can't see. Unless you've got big, giant HEPA filters to get that out of the air, I'm still going to pick that up, even though it's a latent issue, right?
Right.
But the problem with it is they have a good defense because you can go, well, you had a problem here with mold. I'm not an expert. And if they didn't hire somebody,
Right.
they got, it was just, I thought it was just crud. You know, they don't know. So, I mean, even if they do know, they can say, I don't know. So that's why even if you're buying a new piece of property, commercial or residential, radon and mold are always something that I would test for no matter what, right? Especially radon in residential, not so much in commercial, but mold in both units.
Between commercial and residential, it's not a problem in commercial.
It can be if it's high enough, but usually you have different types of units. So you have damper systems in most commercial properties, right? They have damper units that are bringing in fresh air, which
ERVs.
Or just damper systems, or what they call economizers.
Oh, okay.
Which just bring in fresh air, right? So you're diluting the issue, which is a mitigation system for high levels of radon. You have a lot more entry and access, people going in and out. A lot more
air movement and air exchange.
Yeah. So it's
minimal.
Yeah. So if you ever look at it at an hourly rate, I mean, even if a structure doesn't have a problem with high levels of radon, it spikes at its highest in the middle of the night when nobody's going in and out.
When it's more dormant.
Yeah. Well, when you're closed in, right?
Right. So radon's really effective at that point.
Yeah. And
all right. You test for radon.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going? In other words, is it a big problem?
The biggest problem I see with radon is lack of testing, right? Because you can do two houses side by side, right? And this house have a problem and this house not. Now, most of the time, radon in a residential setting is coming from the soil, right? It'd be a little more, depending on the type of flooring that you have, slab on grade would be a little worse than, let's say, a crawl space, right? Because you got that vapor
slab's close to the earth. Yeah.
But I mean, it's such an easy thing to test for, and it's such an easy thing to fix, monetarily speaking, when you do dollar to dollar to that investment you have on that house, right?
How do you fix radon?
So, if let's say, for instance, it's slab on grade. Now, we're assuming that the high levels aren't coming from granite countertops, aggregate, and concrete.
But you test for that, right?
Well, we're testing for all of it. We're just we don't know for sure.
Don't know where it's at. You're just testing for radon. Period.
So you follow the rules, and the lowest livable spot of the home can't be in direct sunlight, can't be in direct line of a vent, can't be in a high humidity area. You got to be at least 3 feet away from the exterior walls and 2 feet off the floor, right? So it's the lowest livable spot of the home, basically.
Gotcha. Basements would be a big concern.
Yeah, because now you have 4 walls.
3 or 4
some are subgrade, if not all of them. So that's different than a crawl space, right? But anyway, if it's a slab, it's called subslab depressurization. All they do is core into that slab, go down, dig out, put perforated pipe in there, put in peat gravel, and hook it to a inline pump and pump it out the top of the house, right? And so instead of the pressure underneath that slab being positive, pushing up into the structure, now you've reversed that. Now you're putting it under negative pressure. So you're going to be pulling air from in the house through any cracks or crevices down under the slab. Same thing with a crawl space, but it's sub-membrane depressurization. So they put perforated pipe like in a tic-tac-toe looking thing underneath that vapor barrier, and then hook that up to a pump. There's other ones where they hook straight to like a sump pump. They can do that. Just depends on really what the kind of house it is. And
I'm learning collectively about some things. Crawl space encapsulations. They put a membrane down. Should they have a check for radon before they do all that?
Yeah, I would definitely check.
I don't think they do it though.
If it's no. Well, I mean,
you said one of the biggest problems is they don't test.
Yeah, not them, the owners, not like the companies that put it in.
Right.
They're just being paid to
encapsulate the crawl.
Yeah.
Not check it out, make sure it's no problems or whatever.
The problem I see with what they do sometimes is trying to make it a conditioned space, but they're only doing it halfway. So your system, if it runs in a crawl space and you have a problem down there and you encapsulate it, and so to get rid of that moisture issue, and you just you go on the supply side and you just put a vent cover,
Right.
So you can push some warm or just dehumidified air into the crawl space.
Right.
What does that do to the pressure? So it's supposed to be inside on the first floor. You're supposed to be pulling as much as you're pushing.
Right.
So now you're pulling more than you're pushing. So now you're putting that under negative pressure. And because you're pushing air out into the crawl space, you're putting that under positive pressure. So now you're sending that air up through into the first floor. And the problems that some people have with the foam insulation and stuff is the VOCs, the smell, the odor, the chemicals that come with it.
Well, that's been a problem with crawl space encapsulation too, because
that's what I'm talking about. If you do that, then you're making the problem even worse. But most of them I haven't seen them do it in a couple of years, so hopefully they're not doing that anymore.
Gotcha.
Just keep the system closed, and But ductwork is one of the things that I have a hard time with, and it seems like the more the house costs, the less good ductwork ceiling I see.
We're going to talk about ductwork, but we're getting a call, 704-712-4644. I got Mr. Brian Morehouse going to be calling in here in 1 sec. Good morning, Mr. Morehouse.
Hey, how are you doing, Ray?
I am great. Appreciate you calling in and checking our call-in line. It's working. Wow. How you like that, Richton? Cool.
That looks great.
All right. You're going to talk to us about what?
Well, April is right around the corner.
Yes,
and
sir.
with April is safe digging month, and everybody's going to be getting out and start doing those spring things like taking care of your yard, doing all the planning, and maybe even adding a new deck or different things around the house. And the big thing that everybody wants to get out there is make sure that you're contacting 811 before you start doing any excavation project.
811 underground locators, regardless of what you might do. Tell them what they need to do, Brian.
So 811 is, we have a North Carolina 811. Each state has their different own 811 system. You can be able to get in touch with them by dialing 811. You put in a locate request ticket. You wait the required time, and then when your excavation project starts, make sure that you're digging safely and just taking care of those public utilities. People don't realize that you have gas on your property, telecommunications, and also power lines, and you just never know where those lines are at until you call 811. They take the locate request ticket and then send it out to the stakeholders within the area that could be the Duke Energies, the co-ops, whoever may be serving your region, and make sure that you get those public utilities marked before any excavation project takes place.
And one thing I would recommend to any homeowner, if you call 811, they're going to come out and paint your yard. They're going to put little dots all over your yard, be it yellow, be it blue, be it red. Aren't the three colors?
Well,
Orange.
you've got orange for telecommunication, yellow for gas, blue for water, red for power, and green for sewer.
Wow. And now, once that's done, I would highly recommend that you take pictures.
I was going to say that. All kinds of pictures.
Take all kinds of pictures of where that is and save those pictures, because any work done in the future, you've got a record of it. Now, you can call 811 again as many times as you need to, but I would definitely take pictures and put that in your catalog, so to speak.
Well, you want to make sure that you call 811 before doing any project. So you may end up planting flowers in the spring, and then, of course, mums come out in the fall, and you may want to plant those again. But 811 is a free service, so take advantage of it and get those public utilities marked before putting that shovel in the ground.
You got it. I appreciate you calling in today, reminding us about April is what, Safe Digging Month? What is it?
Yep. The whole month of April, you'll be seeing many billboards, commercials, and advertisement, making sure that everybody is just prepared before they start doing any type of outdoor work to get those public utilities marked properly.
Awesome. Now I'm going to go another direction with you, Brian, a little bit, because when you were on the show, you talked about women in construction, and this is Women in Construction Month, you know. Mm-hmm. And you are hiring women and do workshops around getting women in the infrastructure business, are you not?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate within our locating division of S&M and also S&M Infrastructure, which is our construction division, and along with our fiber operations. We've had very great success in hiring women, but I'll tell you a little bit about Girl Power. We just had one out at Caldwell Community College and Technical Center. That happened Thursday, and it was a big success. We had 30 young ladies come out, and what's involved with Girl Power is these young students that are 11th and 12th graders from different high schools within the region will come out. They will go to different stations, learn how to climb a pole, get up into a bucket, learn fiber operations, which was part of S&N Infrastructure, and then just be able to do different things to be able to see what is involved in the utility business. And we really had a great discussion with some of the women that were involved with our program as sponsors or partners. They actually told the young students how they got involved in the utility business. There's just so many things. I mean, you've got women linemen, whether it's overhead, underground, women splicers, fiber networking, and also locating.
That's awesome. I'm glad that project went well, or that event.
Well, it's pretty cool to be able to see a student get into a bucket, and there's an instructor with them that takes them up in the air. A young lady ended up saying, she says, I'm scared of heights. And I said, you don't have to do this now. We were following all the protocols, everything else, but she just was a little, uneasy about going up in the air. Well, she ended up going. And when that young lady came down onto the ground, she had the biggest smile on her face, telling us that she was scared of heights and that she had overcome her fear of heights, and she just couldn't wait to be able to go to the county fair to be able to ride the Ferris wheel.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. That's a good story.
It is.
Well, S&N Infrastructure is supporting Put Tools in Schools. This is another way they get out in the community and, promote the trades. And it's a great opportunity for women to look into. And I've been also invited to serve on a panel discussion in May to an event here in Ford, Women in Construction. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about it, because it's actually simple. And I'm going to say this openly. If you want women in construction, all you got to do is show them. And you just validated that, right? I mean, all you got to do is put a tool in their hand. And then
you just got to introduce them to it, just like we do with the tools in schools. Like you stated, S&N Infrastructure and S&N, our locating division, is very high on put tools in schools. And it's always a pleasure to be able to go out there with you and these programs that you put together, introducing all the students, what it takes to be an electrical lineman or a fiber lineman or dealing with underground or locating, anything like that, including the fiber world, which we know right now is really big.
Yep, big time. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing, Brian. Appreciate you calling in today, taking your time out to give us a call. And 811 April, remember, folks, if you're doing any, regardless whether it's April or not, if you're doing any underground fence work, planning, renovating, whatever, call 811. Be sure what you're digging into, and you're not going to hit a line that's going to ruin your day.
And April may be safe digging month, but really every month is safe digging month because nobody wants to be out there and disrupt power for your neighborhood or get hurt or anything like that. So do the free call to 811, put in your locate request, give them your information of where you're at, how to be able to get in contact with you, and then they'll put together a locate request, send it out to the facility operators and stakeholders, and they can go ahead and get their locators out there, whether it's in-house or contract locators. They'll mark the lines properly, and hopefully you'll have safe digging and everything will go great, and you'll enjoy those beautiful flowers you planted.
Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate your call. And once again, if you're a lady looking for a career pathway, you can locate me, Ray Terry, or call S&N Infrastructure. They will put you in the right direction.
Well, we do appreciate it, Ray, and we're going to end up having another Girl Power in 2026 in October, on October the 14th, out at Nash Community College. That's going to be on the eastern side of North Carolina, but this will be another way to be able to reach the students and be able to talk to these young ladies that may have interest in entering the utility industry.
Awesome. Thanks again, Brian. Thank you for calling.
Hey, thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's Brian Morehouse with S&N Infrastructure. But take this opportunity now to talk about some sponsors we've got. Rhino Lift, Foundation Solutions. Be it we talking about crawl spaces. If you've got a crawl space issue and you want to get it encapsulated, or foundation problems, it doesn't matter. Concrete, unleveled, or maybe slab issues where it's cracked and settled. All these issues are problems, and well, let's just say Rhino Lift Foundation Solutions has the solutions you're looking for. Give them a call. Go online, Rhino Lift Foundation Solutions. You can set you up an appointment right there. Great company, very transparent. If you don't need it, they're not going to sell it. They come out there with total transparency and tell you the solutions, let you make the answers, let you pick the solution you want, and without any pressure. They're not coming out there to, like I say, take your bank book. And a lot of companies out there in the foundation and repair crawl space encapsulation business tend to want to put the fear factor in it, and they're not that company. So Rhino Foundation Solutions, LLC, great company. Go online, rhinoliftfoundations.com. Kilo Exterminating, more crawl space issues. The crawlers, I call them the crawlers. That's the technicians. Kilo Exterminating, every technician certified to be what they do and the way they do it. It's a great company, and you can have your own personal exterminator if you want. The great company, great techs, and very friendly. And they're coming out there for one purpose, to see if you have any insects or wood-destroying insects that, ties right into CDA Environmental. Where there's moisture, there's issues, either mold or wood-destroying insects, termites. Termites can do a lot of damage in a very short time. We'll talk about that and more as we progress through the show today with Mr. Devin Arnett from CDA Environmental. But give Kilo Exterminating a call. Go online, kilo.biz. Kilo.biz. Kilo Exterminating, been 3 generations, family owned. No different today. Started in, I do believe, 1939. There's a family of entomology. There you go. Kilo Exterminating, great company. Kilo.biz. Today's show, CDA Environmental, Devin Arnett. What's CDA stand for?
Curtis Devin Arnett.
Wow. I knew that, but I wanted you to say it.
Well, I'll date myself here. The reason that it even is that starts with a C is because when I started, you still had the yellow pages. So you wanted to be A, B, or C.
Oh, yeah, back when we had yellow pages.
Because you got ranked higher.
Yeah, I got you.
On the yellow pages.
I hear you.
That's a throwback, yellow pages. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
No, and I was going to add to his story there about, right after this last big snow finally melted.
Sure.
I come home one day, and my yard's marked up, right? And I was like,
painted like underground locators.
Yeah, I didn't call for it, but I looked at my neighbor's yard, and they were all done too. I was like, okay. Well, a couple weeks passed, and then last week, I come back into my neighborhood from work, and they're putting in orange line. They're fiber optics.
Fiber optics, yeah.
And they got all these yards tore up. I mean, holes as big as this almost, right?
Really?
And dirt piled up right beside it. I'm like, this neighborhood is going to lose its mind, right? I want the fiber optics, so I don't care, right?
Right.
I got Bermuda, so it's all brown right now anyway. So, but I watched these guys work, and at the end of the day, I took the dogs for a walk, and I walked past those holes. I had to get up on them to actually see that there was dirt there.
Right.
They did such a good job of putting it on plastic right beside the hole, and then putting it all back in there, and then putting the grass as best as they could on top
Right.
of it.
Did a good job.
Oh, they did a fantastic job. I mean, unbelievable, because they'll probably be in my yard today. Either today or sometime this, before the end of the week, I think they'll make it to my yard. But
Right.
I was like, okay, I want fiber optics.
Well, let me tell you, we couldn't be on the interweb right now if we didn't have fiber optics. Right now, this studio is all on fiber optics. So, actually, I'm reading 445. Yep. But fiber optics is if you want speed and good internet, it's the only way to go.
I went and did particulate testing at a company I'll leave unnamed, but they make fiber optics, right? And when they brought me into the building, of course, I had to go through security, get all that stuff, but I had technical equipment with me.
Right.
And they made me keep my head down and follow this yellow path through all these robots that are packing this stuff up.
Right.
Right. and back and did my testing or whatever. And then they brought me back. But I was like, what's with the security? I mean, this is all patent, it's all protected,
Right.
proprietary, whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, is this what goes in the ground? And they go, some of it, yeah. I mean, some of it's for whatever, right? And I'm like, couldn't they just take a piece of that and know what? I mean, it's in your yard. I mean, it's proprietary, okay, but they are serious about it. They ain't letting you go in there and do anything.
No proprietary secrets.
No,
let
I
go.
couldn't even get to where they were manufacturing.
Really?
No, they didn't let me in there. They let me into the spot where the construction was actually going on. They just removed some drywall. And because all that equipment and those robots are also technical, right, they wanted an idea of their particulate levels so that they could go, well, it's not really
Right.
much higher than it was.
Right.
Didn't work out that way, but that's what they tried to do.
Gotcha. Let me talk a little bit about Put Tools in Schools before we take a top of the hour break here. We've got an event tomorrow at Northwest School of the Arts. And the point I want to make, kids don't know what they don't know. And these opportunities around the trades, you heard Brian Morehouse talk about, career pathways in the infrastructure business, be it bucket trucks, be it fiber optics, underground, whatever. Well, the problem is in today's world that when you go to school, you're taught to go to college. That's what you're taught, to go to college. And now you can go to college and be in fiber optics. You can go to college and be in infrastructure, but it's not going to benefit you to any great degree. Once again, the only time we learn is when you apply. And if you're not applying, your knowledge, your critical thinking, then you're not really learning anything. Would you agree with that?
I'll agree.
You learn more out in the field than you ever learn in a book.
Yeah, so we hired 2 females in the last 2 years. One with a college degree, one without. About half of what we do, you don't need a college degree for. You just need to be trained. And the other half you sort of do, right? So we hired 2 females, and I was reluctant just because I have 2 daughters, and sending them out to some of these places, I didn't feel all that comfortable. Right. If I don't feel comfortable enough to send one of my daughters, I don't feel comfortable enough sending one of my employees.
I get it.
So that's the only difference, is I just watch where I send them, right? And I tell them, hey, if you get anywhere and you feel uncomfortable, just get in your car and go. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. But they are so much more meticulous.
They're more detailed.
Oh, and you can read their handwriting.
Oh, God. I love it. What else, dude?
I mean,
That's great stuff.
Good
stuff.
This seems the clients love them. They're, like I said, they're real thorough, and they're
great communicators.
Yeah, and I pat myself on the back here. We hired some good ones.
So how'd you find them?
One was a family friend, and the other through Indeed.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, folks, I got to take a top of the hour break here in about 50 seconds, and we're running out for the first hour. But I want to remind you, go to puttoolsinschools.org. We're doing some great things with kids, Saturday workshops. Next Saturday here at the Toolbox, we're going to have a work day, first day of spring. That be Saturday, March 21st, 8 to 1 o'clock. So if you've got something you want to help with, you want to come out and help us at the Toolbox, just reach out to me. 2931 Gibbon Road. I don't mind telling you where it's at. It's out in the north side. wouldn't you say?
Yes, sir.
North side. But we're going to take a top of the hour break here. You're listening to About Your House, heard every Saturday morning, 9 to 11 on Fox Sports Charlotte. Tune in next hour. We'll be here. Devin Arnett, CDA Environmental. Talk to you then.